Hello.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to Happiness Hunch. We are Lynn and Mike, and on this channel we talk about the hunches that we have in this life. Hunches that we hope will lead to greater happiness. And today we're talking all about mercy and healing. And who doesn't need more of both of those, right?
Absolutely.
So,
You're going to have me kick it off.
you're going to kick it off.
I'm going to kick it off.
I'm just going to interrupt.
Okay.
I'm the interrupter today.
Yeah, well, so, if you've heard any of our earlier videos, you probably have been following that I hurt my back at like Labor Day weekend, right around then. And I'm finally almost better, but still not 100% better. But it's been a long journey. And I've learned a lot of things about healing. And the family has learned a whole lot about mercy.
Mm-hmm.
So we thought we'd share some of our insights around that experience as we continue on this journey of healing. And so the first thing that I sort of have realized in a very profound way is that human beings are very intricate, delicate, and finely tuned creatures. And
accepting that very thing is probably a great first key to happiness, is accept that reality of who we are.
Well, and that because of that, we're very vulnerable and very susceptible to injury and wounds. Mm-hmm. But it's also because of how intricate and delicate we are, that's what gives us such great capacity to do really cool things. So if you think about just the agility of the human mind, or the things that the body can do athletically, and all of the complexity of the emotional landscape of the human heart, and go on and on like this, right? Mm-hmm. We have such a tremendous capacity compared to the other creatures on Earth, and so that makes us very amazing creatures that can do incredible things. But it also means that we are very capable of getting wounded and injured very easily, and so as I've reflected upon what happened to me, it was one of these things where it's like, how did that happen? And people would ask me, well, how did you hurt your back? And I'm like, it's actually a more complicated question than you can imagine, because it wasn't one incident. It was really kind of over time, a gradual degeneration of my lower back, and then followed by a kind of stress-induced hard push to get a whole bunch of stuff done, and then...
We never do that.
Never. And then, my back just sort of slipped out, and then over the course of 3 weeks, it just got worse and worse and worse, and then became excruciatingly painful. So what I've learned in getting injured in this way is that healing is a very slow and long process. So because it takes a long time, oftentimes, to get to a point where something really gives out or breaks, it usually takes a long time to get it back to where it's supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And so the restoration, the healing of the body, the healing of the mind, the healing of the human heart, the healing of our spirit, all of these things take a lot of time. Mm-hmm. So it's sort of like slow and steady wins the race. Mm-hmm. And that can become a very discouraging process, because we don't oftentimes pay attention to the little things we do which lead us to the breakdown. Yeah. But we are very attentive to all the little things we have to do to get back to normal. Right. And it just feels like an eternity. It's a horrible, long, arduous process. And it's humiliating, and it's aggravating, because you just want to bounce back and get back on your feet.
Or retrace your steps and not do those things that led to that.
Well, you can get caught in regret. So healing is a process that takes a lot of patience. The other thing, talk a little bit about, so that I don't want to talk this whole video, I want to hear from you, but about how we're integrated creatures. And so our healing is an integrated process. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So talk about that.
You brought up the different areas, though. One area that you could talk about, that I talk about all the time, is health, and how health is related to our emotions, and our emotions are related to our spiritual health, and so we are just a very complex creatures, and all of these things interconnect. So, if you've seen any of our other videos, I've been talking about keto and intermittent fasting. And one of the main benefits that I've noticed is just my mood and my mental outlook on life has been really transformed by improving my health. So that's just one area in which, you can see these interconnections and how we want to, develop a general well-being in all these areas and give attention and priority to all these areas to, just have that unity, and that is what leads to, I think, a greater level of happiness if we can be improving on all these different levels.
Yeah. So, another example would be, if you're not eating well and you're not getting good sleep, you're not exercising, your stress levels go up.
Mm-hmm.
And then when your stress levels go up,
your body falls apart.
Your body starts falling apart.
You can't pray right.
You might not sleep very well.
Mm-hmm.
Then your emotional life becomes a little bit stressed. Mm-hmm. And now you're not responding very well to things. Mm-hmm. And then in not responding very well to things, you give, maybe you react negatively or, harshly to another person. And then you put strain on a relationship. And so, and maybe you make some bad moral choices that give you a guilty conscience, which then further burdens you. And
because all of these things, if we're weak in one area, tends to weaken all the other areas. And that's the little catch.
Right. So it's sort of like a domino effect. All these things they hang together. So we grow integrally in these areas, and we also fall apart integrally in these areas. Mm-hmm. And so healing is not, when I watch YouTube videos, there's so much emphasis on physical healing. Yeah. Like if you eat right, exercise right, sleep right,
That's gonna solve all
and
your
then
problems.
There's a little bit of the, you hear being mindful, and there's some stuff about mental focus and things like that. But I mean, how do we heal our emotional life? How do we heal broken relationships? How do we heal our moral life when we're retreating into bad behaviors that are self-destructive or hurtful to other people, and then we have to deal with that? How do we heal in our relationship with God? So these things are all, connected and related, and, not focusing on one area is actually probably not going to solve all the areas.
To the exclusion of all the others.
Yeah. So, and I've noticed, when you're young, you're kind of stupid, and you just kind of live your life boldly, and you accumulate a lot of damage along the way. Yeah. And then you get into adulthood, and you're
like, holy crap, I got to pull this together.
Right. I have some things to work on here. I'm a little dysfunctional. So, I think a lot of adulthood is just trying to regenerate, trying to restore, trying to heal, trying to get your integrity back, or maybe acquire it for the first time in your life. I don't know, however you want to look at that. But it's a lot of adulthood is about healing. Now,
and I just want to say one thing, and it's important I think, to really believe in yourself that you're capable of this. Because it can seem kind of daunting. I don't think I can get better in this area. I don't think I can improve this or that. But the truth is we are very, very capable beings.
Well, but you have to move the needle a little at a time, and that's
I
think the key.
Don't have too high of expectations, but know that it's possible.
But you just take baby steps a little time. I mean, this is with the recovery of my back.
Right.
It was the exercises the physical therapist had me do. I mean, they were laughable. I didn't even want to tell people what they were asking me to do and how hard it was to do these really stupid little motions with my leg. And of course, I was in a room with a whole bunch of people who were trying to recover from nerve damage and tendonitis and things like this in their shoulders and their hands and their feet and their whatever, and the little tiny things that people couldn't do. And I would see 10 weeks. So I would see the same people, because the same people all came at the same time. We kind of had our routine down, and just watching the progress. The progress is slow, but I was just thinking about that. It's that's the way it is with everything. If I have a bad moral habit, I can't just wipe it out. If I gossip about people all the time and I have to learn how to control my mouth better, I'm not going to do that overnight. Right. I might do that over the course of a year, just little bit by little bit, learning to restrain myself. Or maybe I like to retreat into negative emotions or kind of depressive feelings and melancholy all the time, right? Having a positive attitude and changing the emotional landscape of your heart, that's going to take time. You
Yeah.
have to like practice that, you know, day in and day out, and gradually, when you look back over a year or two, you think, hey, I'm not like doing that anymore. I can do things that I couldn't do before. So patience is really, really important in the healing process. Now, this is where mercy comes in, okay? Because mercy is really a virtue that responds to the vulnerability of the human person. You know, a lot of times we think of mercy only in terms of pardoning, like someone who has power, who says, okay, I pardon you.
Yeah.
You know, I'm showing mercy on you. But really, that's not really what mercy is. Mercy is the real response that we give to another person's vulnerability, their brokenness, their woundedness.
Even our own, too.
And
our own.
and our own, right. I mean, especially, it kind of starts there, because we won't be merciful towards others if we don't know how to receive mercy from others or be merciful towards ourselves. So in other words, if we can't be realistic and honest about how fragile we are and how long it takes to get back on track, we'll never be patient with other people, we'll never be responsive to the vulnerability of other people and be a support to them and help them heal. So like, that was also something we really learned as a family. It wasn't just me who suffered from the back injury. The whole family did. Everybody had to step up.
And it was a process for all of us.
Yeah, and so there were moments of frustration, just a few. But, you know, like I you know, sort of, you know, call out my son, Seth, who was amazingly helpful. Just always attentive. I'd ask him to do things.
He got tired too, but yes.
But he didn't complain hardly at all. And he was really a great witness to just being merciful and responsive to Dad's, you know, sorry condition.
Even when the progress was really slow, and sometimes we couldn't see it for a while. I think, Mike, you might have seen it, you know, more so than we did, because it was really small steps in the beginning, especially.
Yeah. So, and then I think too, just as a final note, on the level of faith, in terms of the healing of our spirit, the healing of our moral life, healing of really the whole person. You know, God is a merciful God, and I think I would just want to end with saying, you know, God responds to our vulnerability. He knows how delicate, how intricate and finely tuned we are, and He knows too how easily we become injured and wounded in any part of our being. And so the basic gospel message is a message of mercy. Like, we have to be merciful people and responsive to where people are injured and wounded, and try to be agents of healing and mercy to other people, beginning with those closest to us, ourselves, and you know, our family members.
I just want to, you know, I have a degree in mental health, so I just want to add, I a lot of times hear on the internet stigmas around receiving counseling or things of this nature, and I just want to encourage you that, you know, counseling can be very, very beneficial. And I don't really see the stigma, so maybe people talk about it and it doesn't really exist. I kind of wonder. But anyway, just a word of encouragement around mental health. I mean, there's a level of brokenness in all of us. Honestly, I think we could all benefit from some counseling. And, you know, Mike and I seek counsel from each other too. You know, and so just developing relationships and having that attribute in your relationships is also just another, just a way to find greater happiness in this life as well. So I just want to throw that in there.
All right, good. Well, that's our happiness hunch for this week. So, healing, mercy. We all have to commit to the path of healing in this life, and we all have to be instruments of God's mercy for one another, and be patient with the process of healing that we all have to go through. So, until next time, follow your hunches.
Yeah, follow your hunches. Thanks for visiting, guys.
All right, be sure to subscribe below and like this video. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.